Mark's divorce left him broke, so the night shift at the gas station on Highway 47 was a godsend easy work, paid under the table. The place was a dump. Flickering neon signs, rusty pumps, and a store that reeked of stale coffee and cheap cleaner. The owner, Hank, a gruff old man, tossed him a key and a scrap of paper with his number. Keep an eye on the cameras, watch out for drunks, no touching the beer, and definitely no smoking. Call me if you're in trouble, he grunted, then left Mark alone in the dim, buzzing store. It was his first night. Mark slouched in the back office, sipping bitter coffee and glancing at the 4 grainy security monitors. Pumps, entrance, aisles, backlot. The world was dead quiet, just the hum of the fridge and crickets outside. Around 1 a.m., the itch for a cigarette hit hard, so he crept out to the backlot. Smoking was forbidden at gas stations, where a rusty bench sat by the dumpsters under a flickering light. He scanned for cameras, none aimed his way. He lit up, took quick drags, and stomped the cigarette out, slipping the butt into his jeans pocket to hide the evidence. As he exhaled, headlights pierced the dark. An old pickup, battered and filthy, rolled into the lot. The driver just sat there, engine growling, ignoring Mark's wave. A chill crawled up his neck. The door creaked open, and a tall, scrawny man in a stained jacket and low cap stepped out, moving like his joints didn't fit right jerky, unnatural. Mark ducked back inside, eyes on the monitors. The man pumped gas, hands trembling, head twitching like he sensed something watching. He didn't drive off after. Instead, he shambled toward the store, boots dragging. The bell jingled, and a sour stench hit sweat and rot, like meat gone bad. His cap hid his eyes, but his lips were cracked, face pale as bone. "Hey," Mark said, throat tight. "You need something?" The man said nothing, drifting through the aisles, grabbing chips and soda, and dropping them like they burned his hands. Mark checked the monitors. The pump feed flickered with static, then cleared. The pickup was gone. How? But the man was still here. "You pay for the gas?" Mark asked, fingers brushing the panic button under the counter. The man turned, cap tilting up. His eyes were bloodshot, pupils swollen like black holes. "Paid already," he rasped, voice like scraping stones. "You're new." Mark's gut clenched. Before he could hit the button, the lights died. Total darkness swallowed the store, no fridge hum, no monitor glow. He grabbed his phone, flashlight beam jittering, and stumbled to the electrical panel by the coolers. He flipped switches, cursing under his breath. The power surged back, lights buzzing to life, casting harsh shadows. The flashlight beam swept the aisles empty. The man was gone. No bell, no sound. Heart hammering, Mark staggered to the office, locking himself in. He dialed Hank's number straight to a dead tone. No signal on his phone, despite the tower looming nearby. The monitors, now glowing again, showed empty aisles, but the backlot feed caught shadows darting near the dumpsters. Fast, human-like shapes that vanished when he blinked. A knock rattled the office door. Slow, heavy. "Who's there?" Mark whispered, voice cracking. Silence. Another knock, and a scrape, like nails clawing wood. He flung the door open, flashlight slashing the dark. Nothing. But as he stepped toward the counter, cold fingers grazed his ankle from behind a chip display. He screamed, kicking free, and saw a pale, filthy hand slink back into the shadows. Mark bolted to the backlot. The pumps glowed faintly, lights flickering wrong, sickly. The pickup was back, joined by rusted vans and sedans, their dark windows hiding shifting shapes. He sprinted to his truck, keys slipping in sweaty hands. The engine roared, but the radio hissed to life static, then voices whispering his name. "Mark, stay." Night shifts calling. He floored it, highway blurring, the station's lights fading in his rear view. but they followed faint, ghostly glows trailing him. He didn't stop until he reached a diner 20 miles away, shaking as he collapsed into a booth. The waitress, an older woman with tired eyes, listened as he stammered about the man, the blackout, the hands. "You kidding?" she said, frowning. "That gas station on 47 shut down 5 years ago. Nothing but dirt out there. Mark didn't buy it." Next morning, he drove back, dialing Hank's number. "This number is not in service." The station was gone. No pumps, no store, just weeds choking a broken signpost. He checked his call history, no trace of Hank's number, no proof he'd worked there. He reached into his jeans back pocket for the cigarette butt. Empty. A cold spike shot down his spine. He knew he'd put it there. A week later, Mark packed up and moved to a new town, landing a day job stacking boxes in a busy warehouse. The work was dull, but it kept the nightmares at bay. Flickering lights, grasping hands, that rasping voice. He quit smoking, the urge snuffed out like the station itself. Sleep was rare, his nights haunted by shadows that seemed to watch from corners. His phone stayed silent for a while. A week after moving, at 1 a.m., his phone buzzed. No caller ID, just a text. "Backlot's waiting, Mark." He deleted it, heart pounding, blaming a prank. The next night, another. "We see you." He blocked unknown numbers, but they kept coming, seeping through like damp rot. Then, one evening, as he sat in his dim apartment, the phone lit up. The name read, Hank. Ice flooded his veins. That number was dead, erased. He opened the message, hands shaking. "You're fired. Caught you smoking at the station." Attached was a photo of him by the dumpsters, cigarette glowing, eyes bloodshot and wide, staring straight at the camera like he knew it was there.
I'm Emily, a nurse on the night shift at St. Mary's Hospital. The ICU is my world from midnight to dawn, where the hum of monitors and the squeak of my sneakers on the linoleum floor keep things grounded. I never bought into ghost stories or mysteries. Thought they were just tall tales for kids or bored night owls. But last week, room 214 turned my world upside down, and now the silence in this hospital feels alive, like it's hiding something that's waiting to crawl out. It was Tuesday, 3 a.m., when the call button for room 214 lit up red. Slicing through the dim light of the nurse's station, I grabbed my clipboard and headed down the hall, my footsteps echoing too loud in the heavy air. It felt like walking through molasses. Mr. Carson, a guy in his early 50s recovering from a heart attack, was in room 214. When I walked in, he was sitting up in bed, his face pale as ash, eyes glued to the corner of the room where the shadows seemed to stick too close to the wall. "Emily," he said, his voice shaking like it might snap. I saw her, my wife, standing right there in that corner. I glanced at the corner, nothing but a plastic chair and a bare wall. His vitals were steady on the monitor, but his hands were trembling bad. "Mr. Carson, it's probably the meds," I said, flipping through his chart. "They can make you see stuff that's not there." "She's been gone 5 years," he said, still staring into the dark. "Car accident took her, but it was her, Emily, clear as day. She said we'd be together soon. Told me to relax and wait for that day." A chill hit me, but I shook it off. I didn't believe in that nonsense. "Grief can play tricks on you, Mr. Carson. Don't think too hard about it. Just rest." I adjusted his IV, tucked his blanket around him, and headed out. The door creaked as I closed it, like it was fighting to stay open. I was sure I'd shut it tight. The next night, that red light blinked again. Same time, my stomach twisted like a wrung-out rag as I walked to room 214. Mr. Carson looked rough as skin gray, his eyes sunken like he hadn't slept a wink. "Emily, I need to say goodbye," he said, his voice so soft I had to lean in to hear. "I'm going tonight. Thank you for taking care of me this week. You're a good soul." I shook my head, pulling up his health board on my tablet. His numbers were solid, blood pressure normal, heart rate steady as a drum. "Mr. Carson, you're doing better," I said, almost chuckling at how dramatic he was being. "The doc's moving you out of ICU tomorrow. You'll be home soon. No goodbyes needed." He shook his head, his eyes drifting back to that corner. "She was here again, said I'd meet her tonight. She looked so calm, Emily, like when we were young, just married. She's waiting for me." His voice cracked, and he grabbed my hand, his fingers cold as ice. "I'm not scared. I just wanted you to know. You made this week easier." I patted his hand, thinking he was losing it. "You're just tired," I said. "Get some sleep. You're fine." But that corner felt wrong, colder than the rest of the room, like the air was holding its breath. I told myself it was a draft and left, but his words stuck to me like damp clothes. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next night, I clocked in and checked the board. Room 214 was empty. I let out a big breath, figuring Mr. Carson got moved to a regular ward or maybe even went home early. Relief hit me like a wave. He was okay. I went about my rounds, checking on other patients, but the hospital felt different. The silence wasn't just quiet, it was heavy, like it was watching me, waiting for something to happen. The halls felt too long, the shadows too sharp. Around 3 a.m., I grabbed coffee with Sarah, another nurse, in the break room. I leaned back in my chair, sipping my coffee. "Hey Sarah, did Mr. Carson get moved out of 214? His room's empty." Sarah's face went pale, her mug frozen halfway to her mouth. "Emily, he died last night. Around 3 a.m., his heart just stopped. No warning, no alarms. We didn't know until it was too late." My coffee cup slipped, splashing hot liquid across the floor. My heart pounded like it wanted to break out of my chest. But his chart, he was getting better. He was supposed to leave tomorrow. "I know," Sarah said, her voice low, almost a whisper. "It doesn't add up. The monitors didn't catch a thing." I stumbled back to the nurse's station, my legs shaking like they might give out. Mr. Carson's voice played over and over in my head. "My wife, standing right there. We'll be together soon." He'd seen her, his dead wife, in that corner. He'd known he was going to die. He'd told me she was waiting, that they'd meet that night. Every single word was true. I glanced down the hall toward room 214. The door was closed, but I swore I saw the call button flicker red for a split second, like it was calling me back. I used to laugh at ghost stories, roll my eyes at anything that didn't have a pulse or a chart to back it up. I thought people who believed in that stuff were just looking for thrills. But now, every night shift feels like walking through a nightmare I can't wake up from. I avoid room 214 like it's poison, but sometimes I hear footsteps behind me in the halls, too soft to be real. The other nurses don't talk about it, but I see it in their eyes. They know something's wrong with that room. And deep down, I'm terrified that one night I'll see Mrs. Carson too, standing in that corner, her eyes locked on me, telling me it's time.
Tom, just turned 60 and newly retired, sat in his faded recliner, the evening light dimming through the window. After 30 years at Mercy General's morgue, he now filled his days with gardening and doting on his grandson, Liam. The 12-year-old sat on the floor, eyes gleaming with curiosity. "Grandpa, any creepy stories from the morgue? Like spooky stuff?" Tom's gaze drifted to his coffee mug, a chill settling in. One memory never faded, sharp as a scalpel's edge. "All right, Liam," he said, voice low, "but this one's definitely for the kids, okay? It's from my first week, back when I was in my early 30s, and it still haunts me." It was Tom's first solo night shift as a morgue attendant, young and jittery in his early 30s. The basement pathology department was a sterile vault, white tiled walls, the hum of walk-in refrigeration compartments, and a sharp smell of formaldehyde and bleach. He trained under Alex, a tough veteran, mastering protocols like universal precautions and post-mortem documentation. Nothing prepared him for the solitude, the duty to treat the dead with respect. At midnight, the phone rang. "Morgue attendant," Tom answered, steadying his nerves. "Nurse Carter, 3rd floor ward," came the crisp reply. "DOA for transport. Female, 24, Elaine Harper. Overdose opioids, confirmed by toxicology report. Cause of death, respiratory failure, cardiac arrest. Pronounced at 11:50 p.m. by Dr. Hayes. Death certificate and personal effects inventory are ready." Tom noted it on the intake log. "I'm coming up." He quickly grabbed the hidden transport gurney, specially made to discreetly move remains, and hopped into the service elevator, heading straight to the general patient ward. Nurse Carter handed him the clipboard at the nurses' station. "Room 318. Family's coming tomorrow for identification." In the room, Elaine lay still, IV ports capped, EKG leads removed. Tom checked her wristband, ID against the toe tag prep to avoid errors. Wearing gloves and a gown for biohazard safety, he gently moved her to the gurney, positioning her supine. With the nurse's help, he slid her into a cadaver pouch, a leak-proof body bag with a full-length zipper. He zipped it shut, the sound cutting the silence. "Rest in peace," he murmured, a simple ritual for every soul, no matter their past. It was his way of showing respect for those who had moved on. The elevator ride to the basement dragged, the gurney wheels humming. In the morgue, Tom logged the intake. Time, cause of death, pending autopsy if needed. Policy required refrigeration within 2 hours to preserve tissue. He slid Elaine into refrigeration unit 25, a shiny stainless steel drawer set at a chilly 36 degrees Fahrenheit. The latch clicked shut, final and cold, sealing her away. The night was quiet, no other calls. Tom sat at the workstation, a desk with a computer for the decedent database. He sipped coffee, the warmth fighting the chill. The screen glowed, his only light besides the buzzing fluorescence. Bored, his eyes drooped, the compressor hum lulling him. A tap broke the quiet, like a knuckle on metal. Tom froze, coffee cup paused. Maybe the unit's cycling defrost timers or pipes, he thought. He ignored it, focusing on the screen. But it came again, a squeak from Unit 25. His heart quickened. He approached the cooler bank, flashlight in hand. The temperature gauge was steady, no alarms. Gloved, he unlatched Unit 25 and slid it out. The body bag was still zipper secure. He unzipped it halfway, checking for issues, maybe rigor mortis shifting the body. Elaine's face was calm, eyes closed, skin pale. Normal. He zipped it up, shut the drawer, and returned to his desk, brushing it off his nerves. A minute later, the squeak came back, sharp and steady. Tom's heart raced. What if she was still alive? He opened Unit 25 again, fully unzipping the bag. Maybe nerve twitches or gases. He leaned in, flashlight on her face. Horror stared back. Elaine's eyes were wide open, pupils like black voids, her mouth twisted in a silent scream. Skin gray and veined, as if fighting death. A faint wheeze came, or did he imagine it? Tom stumbled back, zipping the bag shut, slamming the drawer. His breath came in gasps, sweat cold in the frigid air. First weak, first close-up with the body, and the terror hit hard. Shaking, he called Alex, no answer. Then he dialed Martha, the senior attendant, a heavy-set woman in her 50s with decades in pathology. "Martha, it's Tom. Unit 25's making noises. The body, it just doesn't feel right. You know, something's off here." She arrived in 10 minutes, scrubs rumpled, flashlight ready. Tom blurted the story, voice shaking. Martha listened, then smirked faintly. "Really?" she said, calm but amused. She wheeled the autopsy table, a steel slab for examinations. Over can move the body bag onto it. Shining her light into Unit 25, she nodded. "Here's your ghost." Using a long-handled capture net standard for pest control in biohazard zones, about 5 feet long with fine mesh, she reached in. A squeak erupted, and she pulled out a mouse, fur-matted, eyes glinting. Vents let these critters in. They chew wires, nest in insulation, make noises. Tom's face burned, embarrassment overtaking fear. Martha disposed of the mouse per protocol and resealed the unit. Happens to every newbie. Most scares down here are just pests. From then on, Tom faced every morgue sound creaks, taps, or hums with calm. Mice, machines, or pipes, he handled them, respecting the dead. It carried him through 30 years at Mercy General. Tom leaned back, meeting Liam's wide eyes. No ghosts, kid. Just mice and a young man's nerves. But in that quiet, you still wonder. The room felt colder, shadows deeper, as if Unit 25's squeak lingered in his bones.